Episode 64, Big Deceiver. Good news. The girl named Fei solemnly examined the numerous gemstones embedded in the dress. Because there were so many, it took her a considerable amount of time. As seconds ticked away, everyone, including Ningxi, watched with bated breath. Ningxi had intended to speak up and reveal the truth, but she missed the opportunity. Fei had already started the assessment, and if she spoke now, it might seem like she was forced to confess due to the dire situation. So, she chose to remain silent. After a long while, Fei finally took a deep breath and looked up, saying, "I apologize, everyone. There are too many scattered gemstones on this dress, and I cannot guarantee that I've assessed every single one. However, based on what I've examined so far, all of them are genuine." As soon as she finished speaking, Ningxue was the first to change her expression, and everyone else stood there in shock. "No, this can't be. How is that possible?" But everyone knows about Fei's skills, and she wouldn't be wrong. Fangya, who was expecting Ningxi to make a fool of herself, had her face turn as red as a pig's liver. "Fei, you must have made a mistake. How could this be real? It clearly looks like glass." Others naturally didn't believe it either. "Fei, take another look. These gemstones really seem cheap." "Yeah, take another look. While we all believe in your expertise, this just seems impossible." Facing everyone's doubts, Fei blinked and spoke with certainty. "If it were one gemstone, I might have made a mistake, but with so many, I can't be wrong about each one, can I? These gemstones are indeed all real." Now that Fei had spoken, even those who doubted her had no choice but to believe her. For a moment, everyone fell silent, especially those who had been mocking Ningxi for wearing cheap items. They now cowered in the corner, not uttering a word. As for Ningxi, as the owner of the dress, she was the most shocked. Every single gem was real? What about the promise that it wasn't valuable because it was a gift from a friend? Luo Tingxiao actually deceived her. And she actually believed it? At this moment, Guan Xiaoqi looked at Fangya and taunted, "Hee, I remember someone said earlier that if this dress was real, they would crawl out of here today." Fangya's face stiffened, and she gritted her teeth. "So what if it's real? This dress must be rented by the company to show off. It's not hers. What's so impressive about it?" Hearing Fangya say this, someone who had been silent earlier whispered, "Ningxi has a low sense of fashion, and it's a fact that she wears outdated styles. Yes, we just couldn't bear to watch, so we kindly helped her." Fangya conveniently stuffed the clothes in her hand into Ningxi's arms and said with an earnest tone, "So, Ningxi, you should still take these clothes. The gown might be precious, but you can only look at it, and you might not have the opportunity to wear it for a long time. Especially since you may not have the chance to attend such a grand occasion. Typically, dresses like these could only be worn when receiving awards or attending important events." Fangya was clearly cursing her with no chance of becoming famous for the rest of her life. Ningxue seemed afraid that she might feel embarrassed to accept them, so she kindly said, "Ningxi, please accept them. This misunderstanding was caused by my assistant, and these can be considered gifts to compensate you." "Ningxi, even Xue has said it. Don't keep rejecting her kindness. Don't think Snow gave you cheap stuff. Just check, these clothes are really expensive, much better than your outdated ones. Where else can you find such a good thing? Accept them." Ningxi always adhered to the principle of competing only with like-minded people, not arguing with fools. Why would she bother arguing with these brain-dead individuals? Regardless of their arguments, she maintained a calm and indifferent posture, leaning against the door frame, watching with an amused look. In the end, it was Ningxue's group that felt uneasy under her gaze, wondering if they had said something wrong. At that moment, a girl in the corner near the dressing table suddenly exclaimed, "Ah!" Ningxi followed the girl's gaze. "What's wrong? Ningxi, why is this thing in your house moving? It scared me." The girl looked at the decorative candlestick suddenly turning under pressure behind her. The next second, a strange sound of clatter echoed in everyone's ears. While everyone wondered where the sound came from, following everyone's shocked gazes, one entire wall of the dressing room slowly opened to the sides. Bright white light seeped through the cracks, creating a scene that seemed to unfold in slow motion, like in a movie. After a moment, the two sides of the wall finally opened completely. After seeing the complete picture inside, a wave of gasps echoed in the air, followed by a long silence. Everyone present was speechless. Everyone stared blankly behind the wall. Stared at the unimpressive but enormous dressing room behind the wall. The top of the dressing room was adorned with dazzling crystal lights, and inside, there were gorgeous dresses, dazzling to the point where it was almost blinding. Fangya, who held a pile of clothes intended for Ningxi, couldn't keep them stable and dropped them all on the ground due to her shock. Because of her astonishment, she opened her mouth but couldn't utter a word. The reactions of everyone present were almost the same. It took a long time for them to regain their senses. Am I dreaming? Ningxi, your house actually has a secret compartment. Damn. My eyes were almost blinded. Is this dressing room too big and luxurious? Ningxi, you're really not considerate enough. You have such a big dressing room, and you didn't open it for us to visit. She had to know about this first, right? Now, she finally knew where all those clothes had gone. If it weren't for today's unexpected events, she probably wouldn't have known that her home actually had such a large hidden compartment. Ningxi rubbed her forehead, having no idea what to say to Luo Tingxiao. How did that guy manage to say those absurd things to deceive her with such an academic, authoritative, and seemingly trustworthy tone? As everyone was still sighing, they observed the styles of those dresses and were surprised to find that all of them seemed to come from the same designer as the one in the wardrobe, Gabriel Elvis. Quite a few people couldn't help but approach to check the labels on the clothes. Sure enough, after looking at a few pieces, they all had the abbreviation GE. You see, it wasn't just about the money. The designer disappeared shortly after coming into the scene, leaving behind a limited number of works that were hard to obtain, even if one had money. Now, what kind of shock was it to have an entire room filled with these designs? After the shock, it was evident that some people were unwilling to accept it. They secretly went to ask Feifei, are those inside all genuine? Feifei, who had been surprised for a long time, nodded at the question. I took a quick look, and they are all real. Anyone who knows a bit about it would know that the unique radiance of genuine gemstones is different from fakes. Oh my god. This is so terrifying. Could this also be prepared by Xingshi for Ningxi? Xingshi is really extravagant. Dormitory with a view of the Pearl River Imperial residence was already quite extravagant, but now, a whole dressing room bigger than someone else's entire house. They're really going all out to flatter Ningxi. The term someone else was understood by everyone present. Some who couldn't stand Ningxue, who had been holding back for a long time, whispered in low voices. The key point is, Ningxi is luxurious and tasteful. All of them are from this legendary brand, GE. Unlike Ningxue's dressing room, it looks like a nouveau riche's vault, stuffing in whatever famous and expensive brands they can. She just gave away her clothes to Ningxi with a face of charity. As if Ningxi would fancy them. I think she initially planned to step on Ningxi, but it turned out, TSK, there's really no harm without comparison. Ningxue never expected that the words she had just said to let Ningxi accept the clothes would echo in her ears. But the next second, she saw this enormous dressing room. At this moment, she stood stiffly in front of Ningxi's dressing room, listening to those hushed whispers. Her face turned extremely hot, as if she had been slapped hard. Damn it. It's all that Fangya's fault. Why did she have to mention Ningxi's place out of nowhere? If she hadn't come here suddenly, her plan for tonight would have been flawless. Now, everything was messed up again. She had finally salvaged a bit of her image, but it was instantly crushed. Fangya, who didn't anticipate that she would have patted the wrong horse, had an extremely ugly expression. She angrily scolded Ningxi, since you don't lack clothes, why didn't you say it earlier? Watching us busy running around was quite entertaining. You really can't recognize good people's hearts. Ningxi leaned against the door frame with her arms crossed, raising an eyebrow. Are you sure I didn't say it earlier? It seems like someone just couldn't understand human language. You? Fangya choked on her words, only able to mutter, it's not like they're yours. Ningxue took several deep breaths to suppress all her emotions. She then put on a magnanimous expression and said, it's okay, Xiaoya. We're just helping Ningxi. It's not for repayment. If you ever need anything in the future, feel free to ask. The underlying meaning was that the company was currently elevating her, but it might not always be the case. Regarding the sudden appearance of the dressing room, the only person at the scene who seemed calm was probably Guan Qiqi. After being slightly surprised for a moment, she quickly recovered, looked at Ningxue, Fangya, and others with a schadenfreude expression, as if watching a clown's performance. It's really worth coming tonight. Watched a good show. So tired going home to sleep. After saying that, Guan Qiqi bounced away. Once Guan Qiqi left, everyone else began to take their leave, especially those who had been mocking and belittling Ningxi to please Ningxue. Finally, everyone was gone. Ningxi, looking somewhat thoughtful, glanced at Guan Qiqi's departing figure. Due to extreme fatigue, she couldn't think much and almost crawled onto the bed, falling asleep as soon as her head touched the pillow. Late at night, in Ning Shueluo's apartment, Changli hurriedly arrived in the middle of the night, only to see a mess of clothes and fragments scattered around. "My little aunt, who provoked you again?" Ning Shueluo vigorously twisted a pile of clothes with scissors, her face distorted in anger. Who else could it be? Having learned the specific situation from her assistant, Changli, while tidying up, advised her, "Shueluo, I'm not criticizing you, but this time you really acted too impulsively. You've endured it for so long, and you couldn't wait a bit longer? Why provoke her now? Have I not endured enough? In such a situation tonight, I thought." She thought it was foolproof. Who would have known? Changli softenet hartone. I understand your feelings, but seeking revenge at this moment is really meaningless. Ningxi doesn't need you to take action, someone will naturally deal with her. Ning Shueluo immediately looked at her. Who are you talking about? Changli revealed a hint of a sneer and reminded her, have you forgotten? Shengshi Entertainment still has Suyimo. With Ningxi gaining so much attention now, do you think Suyimo will spare her? Even someone as prominent as Lang Manyun was suppressed by her back then. What's Ningxi compared to that? As soon as Ning Shueluo heard this, her eyes lit up. Suyimo. Why didn't I think of that? That's right. Suyimo has ambiguous connections with the higher-ups of the Lu Corporation. With that background, she's no ordinary person. Think about it, with her arrogant personality, how could she tolerate Ningxi, who is shaking her position? Tonight's events will definitely reach her ears soon. What do you think she'll think then? Ning Shueluo pondered for a moment, and a smile gradually appeared on her lips. You make a lot of sense. Seeing that she had finally persuaded Ning Shueluo, Changli breathed a sigh of relief and continued to analyze. Now we can establish a relationship with Suyimo's side. Although you and she have always been in opposition, it's different now. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Don't worry, I'll go check her attitude later. There shouldn't be any major problems. Ning Shueluo threw away the scissors and the clothes in her hands, stood up, paced back and forth, and then stopped. I heard she likes jade and jadeite. There's a pair of high-quality jadeite ornaments someone sent to my father. Take them and give them to her. If you need anything, just let me know, and I'll figure it out. Okay, no problem. Changli immediately agreed. Then she asked, by the way, how about considering the proposal I mentioned to you last time? You mean the engagement? Yes, you've been low-key for too long. You definitely need a highly topical event to restore your popularity and image. Everyone has always envied you for Suyen, and now is the best time to get engaged. At that time, all the headlines will be about you. I've already planned a series of follow-up strategies. It will not only elevate your popularity to a new height but also step on Ningxi hard. Changli spoke excitedly. When Suyen was mentioned, Ning Shueluo frowned slightly. You know, because of what happened last time, Suyen has a big opinion of me. I need some time, and he's been really busy lately. It's okay, there's no rush. Work is important. Your Suyen is really amazing. If this big deal is sealed, the Su family will open up the European market, and the group's profits will double. All the financial channels and magazines are full of him recently. Ning Shueluo, with a radiant face, raised an eyebrow proudly. Of course, he is my man, after all. You can rest assured, I will take care of the engagement. Good. Then let's act separately. The next morning, as there was no need to go to work, Ningxi slept until she naturally woke up. In a daze, she recalled the events of last night, almost thinking it was just a dream. Until she, in her slippers, walked into the walk-in closet. The hidden compartment she didn't close last night was now open, catching her off guard. So, it wasn't a dream after all. She had genuinely thought the items weren't valuable when she accepted them. What should she do now? And this walk-in closet? Ningxi was leaning against the door, feeling a headache. Suddenly, her phone rang, and it was a call from Lin Jiji. Hello, Sister Jiji? You have a day off today, right? Are you free now? If so, come to the company. No problem, I'll come over right away. Ningxi regained her composure, quickly tidied up, and headed to the company. At the same time, at Shengshi Entertainment, in Lin Jiji's office. Damn. Why am I losing at everything lately? Jiong lay on the sofa opposite the desk, frustratedly throwing away the game console in his hand. Where's Ningxi? When is she coming? Lin Zhizhi, engrossed in a pile of documents, didn't lift her head and replied, "She's on her way." Jiong Mai sat up, squinting thoughtfully at the woman who remained calm from start to finish. A somewhat unpleasant feeling surged in his heart. "Lin Zhizhi. There's no one else here. Why are you acting like we're strangers?" Lin Zhizhi glanced at him from the corner of her eye but didn't respond. Seeing her attitude, Jiong Mai became even more irritated and sneered, "Lin Zhizhi. It's just you and me. Why pretend that we're not familiar? Is it so hard for you to admit our relationship as an artist and her former manager?" Finally, Lin Zhizhi raised her head to look at him, calmly saying 4 words, "Is it not?" Jiong Mai was about to speak, but Lin Zhizhi followed up with another question, "Or perhaps, would you prefer me to tell Ningxi another fact?" Jiong Mai's face instantly reddened. He stood up abruptly. "You?" Outside the door, a knock sounded, and Jiong Mai had no choice but to shut up, quickly getting up to open the door. "You, took so long. I've been dying over here." Ningxi rolled her eyes disdainfully. "Are you sure your death count is related to how quickly I come? Quit the nonsense. Let's talk business. After we're done, I need to go back to sign for my latest equipment. Play all you want. I think you should just marry your game console in the future." Ningxi gave him a disdainful look and then sweetly greeted Lin Zhizhi, "Sister Zhizhi, I'm here." The speed of this change in expression was so fast that Jiong Mai almost had black lines all over his head. Seeing Ningxi, Lin Zhizhi's complexion softened a lot. "Take a seat. I asked you to come today to tell you some good news." "Good news? What good news?" Ningxi immediately perked up. "I just secured an endorsement for you." Ningxi's face instantly lit up. "Really? Can I endorse products too? I haven't even done a single drama yet." Lin Zhizhi explained, "Your popularity is already sufficient. Most companies are still observing, but this time it was a coincidence. After the news about you and Jiong Mai playing games all night was exposed, the game company you were playing with contacted me, and we just finalized the deal yesterday."